Hello, dear friend. Tonight, you do not need to hurry. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to carry the whole weight of the world on your shoulders. For this little while, you may simply rest. Let your breathing soften. Let your thoughts slow down. Let the noise of the day drift farther and farther away. If your heart is tired, this story is for you. If your mind is restless, this story is for you. If you have been carrying sadness, questions, or silent burdens that no one else can see, this story is for you too. Tonight, we will follow the journey of a weary traveler named Eli, a man with a tired heart, a searching spirit, and a quiet longing to feel close to God again. So let your eyes grow heavy if they wish. Let your breathing become slow and steady, and come now into this peaceful story. Eli had walked many roads in his life. He had walked under bright mornings and beneath burning afternoon skies. He had walked through crowded marketplaces filled with sound and color. He had walked lonely paths where only the wind kept him company. But the road before him now felt different. It was not longer than all the others. It was not steeper. It was not more dangerous. And yet it felt heavier, because this road was being carried not only by his feet, but by his heart. For many months, perhaps even longer, Eli had felt a quiet ache within him. Not a pain of the body, though his body was tired. Not a wound the eye could see. It was a weariness of the soul. He still prayed, but sometimes his prayers seemed to fall gently from his lips and disappear into silence. He still believed, but some days his faith felt like a small lamp in a room filled with wind. That evening, Eli reached the crest of a low hill. Below him lay a small valley, and at its center was a cluster of olive trees surrounding an old stone well. He went down into the valley, placed his travel bag beside an olive tree, and sat near the well. For a long time, he did nothing. He only listened. The leaves whispered overhead. The stream moved patiently over stone. A night bird called once. Then again from farther off. Eli bowed his head. "God," he whispered, "I am tired." There were many prayers he could have said, many noble words, many formal phrases from memory, but that was all that came. "I am tired." And somehow, because it was honest, it was enough. That night, Eli dreamed that he was standing in a vast field before dawn. In the distance, he saw a lamp. It was small at first, no larger than a star seen from far away. But it did not flicker in the wind. It did not fade in the mist. It remained steady. A figure appeared beside the lamp. "Why do you carry tomorrow before dawn has even arrived?" the figure asked. Eli lowered his eyes. "I do not know how to stop," he said. The figure lifted the lamp. "You were not made to carry every hour at once," he said. "You were made to walk in the light given for this moment." Eli looked down. Around his feet, he saw not one long road stretching endlessly ahead, but only a small circle of ground softly lit by the lamp. Just enough for one step. Then another. "No more?" Eli asked. "For now," said the figure, "it is enough." Eli woke before sunrise. The dream was already fading, as dreams do, yet its peace remained. He sat up slowly and spoke softly into the dawn. "Give me light for this step." Then he began to walk again. The path leaving the valley wound toward higher ground. Eli thought about the dream. He had always asked God for the whole answer, the full map, the complete explanation. But the dream had offered no grand explanation, only this, light for one step. By midday, he came to a narrow path that curved alongside a ridge. There he noticed an old woman sitting beneath the shadow of a fig tree. She offered him bread and told him about the grief she had carried after losing her husband. "I learned that God does not always remove sorrow the moment we beg." "Him too," she said. "Sometimes he sits with us in it until sorrow becomes a doorway rather than a prison." She filled Eli's water skin and said, "Do not despise small mercies. They're often how heaven keeps a soul alive." For the rest of the afternoon, her words stayed with him. Do not despise small mercies. He began to notice them. The shade of a passing cloud, the sweetness of water on a dry tongue, the strength of his own legs carrying him forward, a hawk circling high above the ridge, a breeze arriving just when the heat had become difficult. None of these changed his whole life. None answered every question, yet each one was real. Each one was a gift. Each one whispered that he had not been abandoned. That evening, Eli came to a shepherd's shelter. The shepherd welcomed him to share the evening fire. As the sheep settled beneath the stars, Eli said, "They seem unafraid." The shepherd replied, "They know my voice." Then he added, "Many people want faith to make life loud and dramatic. But much of faith is simply staying near enough to hear, near enough to be guided, near enough to rest." Those words sank deeply into Eli, not striving, not performing, not conquering, staying near. Later, Eli slept beside the shelter wall while the shepherd watched the flock. In the middle of the night, Eli woke briefly and saw the shepherd still awake, seated quietly with staff in hand. A watchful presence in the night, a quiet guardian while others slept. Eli closed his eyes again and rested more deeply than before. The land changed as Eli traveled. The green places became fewer. The ground turned more stony and dry. The path led into a wilderness region where the sun seemed sharper and silence stretched wider. Here, Eli's thoughts grew louder again. He remembered old failures, words he wished he had not spoken, moments when fear had ruled him, times when he had doubted, times when he had been selfish. These memories came not as gentle lessons, but as accusations. "See," said the voice of shame, "you are not faithful enough, not pure enough, not worthy enough, not strong enough." Eli walked beneath the hard afternoon sun, and the burden returned to his chest. Near sunset, he found a small hollow between rocks and sat there. "I know I have failed," he whispered. "You do not need to remind me." Then another thought came, not sharp, not condemning, but steady and clear. "If you already know you are weak, why pretend before God that you are not?" Eli slowly lowered his hands. "Bring him your weakness as honestly as you bring him your pain." He breathed in deeply. What if God desired truth more than performance? What if confession was not humiliation, but release? That night, Eli prayed more honestly than he had in a very long time. "God, I am not bringing you my best story about myself. I am bringing you what is real. My fear is real. My regret is real. My weakness is real. My confusion is real. And if your mercy is real too, then let it find me here." No voice answered from the sky. No vision flashed before him. And yet something happened. The crushing urgency to defend himself began to loosen. He remembered that the soul is healed not by hiding its wounds, but by bringing them into light. The next morning, Eli reached a lonely well where he found a father and his little boy. The child was weak from fever. The father kept his arm wrapped protectively around him. "When he is weak," the father said, "I do not love him less. I stay closer." The words struck Eli with quiet force. "When he is weak, I do not love him less. I stay closer." All that day, Eli carried the sentence within him. Perhaps God's nearness was not reduced by human frailty. Perhaps weakness was not the end of love, but one of the places where love draws nearest. By evening, Eli reached a village built along a narrow stream. A family offered him lodging in a small upper room. Later, a young mother came to the rooftop carrying folded clothes. "You seem far from home," she said. "I am," Eli replied. "And are you traveling towards something?" she asked. "Or away from something?" "Perhaps both," he said. She told him how becoming a mother had taught her that love does not remove fear. Then she said, "Trust is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to place fear in larger hands." She continued, "I still care. I still worry. But I no longer believe that my worrying is what keeps the people I love alive. God carries what I cannot. God carries what I cannot." Eli repeated those words inwardly until they became almost like a lullaby. That night, he practiced letting go, not of love, not of responsibility, not of prayer, but of control. He imagined each fear like a stone placed into open hands before God. One by one, slowly, tenderly, this one too, and this one, and this one. He slept with tears on his face, but they were not bitter tears. They were the kind that come when the heart begins to unclench. The next day, he entered an orchard where a gardener was pruning pomegranate trees. Eli watched him cut branches. "You cut away healthy branches too," Eli observed. Some of them, the gardener replied, not because the tree is dead, but because it is alive. The gardener explained that growth alone was not the same as fruitfulness. Sometimes life must be trimmed so that life may deepen. Eli thought of the losses and changes he had resisted, the doors that had closed, the plans that had fallen apart, the friendships that had changed shape, the seasons that had ended before he was ready. Pruning feels like pain, Eli said quietly. Yes, the gardener answered. Often it does, especially when we cannot yet see what it will make possible. Then he said, not every loss is punishment. Some losses are preparation. Some endings protect us from becoming shallow. Some empty places are making room for new roots. Before Eli left, the gardener handed him a ripe pomegranate. Remember, being cut back is not the same as being cast aside. Eli thanked him and continued onward, not cast aside, still being tended. Toward evening, the weather changed. Clouds gathered from the west. Wind rose across the hills. Rain fell suddenly and hard. Eli struggled forward until he finally found a cave opening in the side of a hill. Inside, he sat shivering while the storm raged outside. Lightning flashed across the mouth of the cave. Thunder followed, deep and shaking. Rain pounded the earth. And there, in that wild night, Eli felt again how fragile a human life can seem. He thought of all the times he had wanted peace to mean the absence of storms. But life did not grant that wish. Storms came to the faithful and the doubtful alike, to the strong and the weak. To those ready and those weary, what then was peace? The storm continued for a long while, before slowly passing east. Its violence softened to rain, then to dripping branches, then to wind. Then at last to quiet. Eli remained still, outside the cave. One final rumble faded into the distance. And in the silence after the storm, he understood something simple and holy. Peace is not always the world becoming gentle. Sometimes peace is the soul discovering that it has been held even while the storm was loud. He wrapped his wet cloak tighter and leaned against the cave wall. You were here too, he whispered. Not only in the orchard, not only in the village, not only beneath the olive tree, but here too, in noise, in fear, in darkness, in the place where control had vanished. He slept there until dawn. When morning came, the land was washed clean. The sky was pale and clear. Water sparkled in every hollow of stone. Eli stepped from the cave into the shining morning and felt as though he had passed through more than weather. Something within him had become quieter. He walked on for several more days. Sometimes the road was easy. Sometimes it was not. Sometimes his heart felt light. Sometimes old sadness returned. But he was learning not to panic when peace rose and fell like breath. He was learning that the life of faith was not constant emotional brightness. It was deeper than that. It was a returning, again and again, a choosing to trust again, a choosing to listen again, a choosing to place one foot before the other in the light given. One afternoon, Eli came to a mountain house where travelers rested. Several other travelers were there that evening. As they shared the fire, the housekeeper asked Eli, "And what has the road been teaching you?" Eli was silent for a moment. Then he said, "That I have spent too much of my life asking God to explain everything, and not enough of it receiving what He is already giving." He spoke of the strength given for one day, the bread given for one moment, the small mercies that had kept him alive, the weakness that did not mean love had moved away, the storms where peace had taken a deeper form. The next morning, Eli stood outside before dawn. As the first light touched the mountains, he thought, this is how grace often comes, not all at once, not in one overwhelming blaze, but ridge by ridge, layer by layer, until even the valleys receive light. Weeks later, Eli returned to the town he had once left with such inward heaviness. From the outside, very little had changed, but Eli had changed, not into someone grand, not into someone without pain, not into someone who floated above human struggle. He had become quieter inside. The urgency had lessened. The panic had softened. The need to know everything had loosened its grip. When sorrow visited, he sat with it honestly. When fear rose, he placed it in larger hands. When weakness came, he no longer assumed love had departed. When the path ahead seemed dim, he asked only for light enough for one step. People noticed that something in him had become gentler. He listened more slowly, spoke more carefully, hurried less, judged less, prayed with fewer dramatic words and more sincere ones. He became, in quiet ways, a comfort to others. Years passed. Eli grew older. Lines formed on his face, his hair silvered. But within him there remained a settled place, not because life had become painless, but because he had learned where to rest his soul. One evening, a boy from the town came to sit beside him beneath a tree. "What do you do?" the boy asked. "When your mind will not be still." Eli looked at him kindly. "You stop trying to silence it by force," he said. "You give it somewhere gentler to rest. You begin with what is true," he continued. "Not everything, just one true thing. That you are here, that you are breathing, that this moment has been given to you, that you do not need to carry tomorrow tonight. And then," Eli said, "that you place your thoughts in God's hands again and again. Not once only, as many times as needed, gently, without anger toward yourself." "Does it work quickly?" the boy asked. Eli smiled. "Sometimes no, but peace is not always a door that swings open in an instant. Sometimes it is dawn, slow, quiet, certain." They sat together as evening deepened, and Eli remembered the valley with the olive trees, the well, the first honest prayer, the first dream of the lamp. So much had begun not with triumph, but with weariness, not with certainty, but with surrender, not with a great answer, but with a simple plea, "I am tired." And perhaps that is why the memory remained sacred to him, because he had discovered that even a tired prayer can become the doorway to peace. One afternoon, Eli came to a mountain house where travelers rested. Several other travelers were there that evening. As they shared the fire, the housekeeper asked Eli, "And what has the road been teaching you?" Eli was silent for a moment. Then he said, "That I have spent too much of my life asking God to explain everything, and not enough of it receiving what He is already giving." He spoke of the strength given for one day, the bread given for one moment, the small mercies that had kept him alive, the weakness that did not mean love had moved away, the storms where peace had taken a deeper form. The next morning, Eli stood outside before dawn. As the first light touched the mountains, he thought, "This is how grace often comes, not all at once, not in one overwhelming blaze, but ridge by ridge, layer by layer, until even the valleys receive light." Weeks later, Eli returned to the town he had once left with such inward heaviness. From the outside, very little had changed, but Eli had changed, not into someone grand, not into someone without pain, not into someone who floated above human struggle. He had become quieter inside. The urgency had lessened. The panic had softened. The need to know everything had loosened its grip. When sorrow visited, he sat with it honestly. When fear rose, he placed it in larger hands. When weakness came, he no longer assumed love had departed. When the path ahead seemed dim, he asked only for light enough for one step. People noticed that something in him had become gentler. He listened more slowly, spoke more carefully, hurried less, judged less, prayed with fewer dramatic words and more sincere ones. He became, in quiet ways, a comfort to others. Years passed. Eli grew older. Lines formed on his face, his hair silvered. But within him there remained a settled place, not because life had become painless, but because he had learned where to rest his soul. One evening, a boy from the town came to sit beside him beneath a tree. "What do you do?" the boy asked. "When your mind will not be still." Eli looked at him kindly. "You stop trying to silence it by force," he said. "You give it somewhere gentler to rest. You begin with what is true," he continued. "Not everything, just one true thing. That you are here, that you are breathing, that this moment has been given to you, that you do not need to carry tomorrow tonight. And then," Eli said, "that you place your thoughts in God's hands again and again. Not once only, as many times as needed, gently, without anger toward yourself." "Does it work quickly?" the boy asked. Eli smiled. "Sometimes no, But peace is not always a door that swings open in an instant. Sometimes it is dawn, slow, quiet, certain. They sat together as evening deepened, and Eli remembered the valley with the olive trees, the well, the first honest prayer, the first dream of the lamp. So much had begun not with triumph, but with weariness.